COVID was a wild time for everyone, but especially me. Toilet paper stock hit an all-time high. Dogecoin to the moon, and people who never stepped foot in a hospital all of a sudden had a medical degree. The hospital in the town I lived in was accepting any doctors from all walks of life. Too much COVID, too little time. I checked my bank account and saw I had $0 left of my stimulus, so when I saw the salary, I knew I had to apply. I didn't have the history, the documentations, the credentials. I never even been to a hospital or pharmacy. I'm pretty sure my vitamin D is low and I don't drink water. But I once tricked my sister into thinking that she had cancer, so I figured this wouldn't be so hard. I applied, got the interview, and got hired. Didn't even take a week. They said they would give me a month to turn in my license, until then get to work. I'll tell you, a hospital is disgusting. People throwing up, those with yellow skin pale from sickness, and others groveling on the ground. That was just the cafeteria. I couldn't imagine what the floor looked like. As I looked around at the patients that were assigned to me, they were all sick, and I began to think this was a bad idea. I mean, I'm impersonating a doctor, and these people obviously need help. I'm here though, so it's time to put on my big boy pants and get to work. To my surprise, nurses and pharmacists do a lot and got most of the work done. I write a botched prescription and they fix it for me. Did you mean acetaminophen, doctor? Oh, how could I be so foolish? Of course, that's what I meant. Doctor, what is this skiggle on the paper? I don't know what you think it is. Then a couple cc's of canola oil here and a splash of Jack and Coke there. Next thing I know, I'm the most successful doctor in the hospital at treating COVID. My mom would be proud if she knew. She always wanted me to go to medical school, or at least apply at the Walmart down the street. I didn't tell her though, because I have a feeling my family wouldn't be ecstatic about me impersonating a medical professional. Also, I'm pretty sure this is extremely illegal. But the mayor sent a letter to a hospital wanting to give me an award live on television. I feel as though I took this too far. I mean, I really didn't do anything and people just kept getting better. I guess I'm just lucky or unlucky, depending on how you take it. Bright side, nobody died. Downside, I might. As I was preparing to swindle my way out of this as well, one of the doctors in my unit started making trouble, accusing me of doing nothing and letting the nurse take care of all the heavy lifting. First thing to cross my mind is, how did he know? And the second thing is, how dare he accuse me of this? His patients flopping over one after the other. The last thing to walk out of the hospital after he laid eyes on it was his wife after serving divorce papers. What merit does he have to question me? A doctorate from Johns Hopkins University, which I'll admit is pretty good. But I believe on the job experience trumps a piece of paper. Though he has me beat in that too, but he doesn't know that. All he knows is what I put on my resume, that I was in Africa for 10 years fighting the Ebola outbreak. And what I meant by that was electrocuting a couple mosquitoes in my backyard. To be fair, they could have been carrying anything. As I vented all this to one of my favorite patients, an older man, his name is John. And he supported me, telling me how great of a doctor I am and that he is in perfect health because of me. He took another sip of the drink I made him, then went on to say a couple of racist things about a lot of the Indian residents that's on the floor. It made me realize this man is drunk out of his fucking mind from the Jack and Coke I snuck in here for him. I'm getting a pep talk from a drunk, mildly racist man. I can't see a good outcome coming from this. I see one of two options: complete 8 years of college and a residency by the end of the week Friday. It's Wednesday, I got 2 days, it's possible. Or admit I'm wrong, come clean to the hospital and go to jail for a couple years, apply to Phoenix University and get my doctorate. Nope, those are both terrible. I'm going back to Africa. I went to the director of the hospital and explained to him how I'm being called back to assist in Africa as the COVID outbreak there has become uncontainable. Considering the improvement in all of my patients here, I can divvy them off to the other doctors as they need minimal care. But I instructed the director to watch John. He keeps sneaking shots of Jack in the hospital somehow. I think his family is bringing it to him. And we can't have a 60-year-old drunk walking around with his medical gown on the wrong way. He asked about the reward from the mayor, and if I would be able to stay just a couple more days. And I said what any other scammer who's seeing the possibility of serving 20 years of jail time would say. It wasn't just me, it was everyone's care that allowed the patients to recover so quickly. The award should be given to the entire hospital, not just one person, but if there's a cash reward as well, you can send the money to the same checking account. Them numbers not changing. Then, returned to say goodbye to the nurses and patients I spent the last month with. Turned John's gown around the correct way, just to notice his ass sags worse than his balls, which let me know I was making the correct choice of going back to Africa. As I left the hospital to make my 15-minute drive to Africa, aka my home, I thought to myself, please don't ever let me get COVID and get admitted to that hospital, because when they see my ID and insurance, they will realize what I have done and call the cops promptly, in which my life will be over. Which is the perfect reason to stop by the store and get some beer. To which I met an African gentleman and struck up conversation. He told me he was a humanitarian and was flying out tomorrow to assist with the COVID crisis. To which I told him I as well provided aid to Africa during Ebola. Why the fuck do I keep telling people this? As I said that his eyes lit up and he said he recognized me from the hospital. That he was in for a visit and everyone kept talking about the miracle doctor who had a 100% success rate with his COVID patients. He saw me from a distance but never got a chance to introduce himself at the time. Yes, I am so fucked. He heard I was going back to Africa to assist as well and said I should join him on his flight. I told him I would love to, but I haven't bought my plane ticket yet, unfortunately, to which, of course, he told me it's a chartered jet and I'm just welcome to join. 48 hours later, I'm on his jet on my way back to Africa, I guess. At this point, I should really just get my medical degree.